All right, Programming 12. Oh, I'm so excited. We're going to be making dynamic object creation, destruction. It's going to be so fun. So fun. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to make it so that we don't have any movers at all in the whole project when we start. And when we click the mouse, we're going to add movers to the mouse's location, I guess. I don't know. We'll think of something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this code here. I'm just going to comment it, I think. Let's see. Yeah. Woohoo. So we'll get rid of the actual creation of these things. And when I run the project, I kind of just want to see nothing. Nothing at all. I want to only see movers when I click the mouse. So we'll see. This is actually going to cause a problem right now, though, because I'm expecting there to be 50 movers. So if I run this, we'll get a null pointer exception. Oh no, we got index out of bounds, actually. Because, you know what? We don't have 50 movers. And if I try to go to beyond 0, well, even 0 is out of bounds because I don't have anything in this list. So just so you know, out of bounds, very similar to arrays. But the bounds can change. So that means that this variable, I can't just kind of store the number of movers ahead of time. So let's just kill it. Let's get rid of that variable. See ya. And what we're going to replace it with is the size of the list. You see, array lists know how big they are. You can ask them, hey, what's your size? So I can say, I can replace number of movers with movers.size. And what will happen here is that this will evaluate right now to 0 because there's no movers because I commented out my code that makes movers. So that means this won't even run and it won't cause an index out of bounds exception. In addition, when this grows, like when I start adding movers, then this number will change every frame to accommodate the fact that we put more movers in there. So this code will now work no matter what amount of movers we stick in there. We also have to change our network, right? Our show connections, because we don't have a number of movers anymore. But it's the same story. Movers.size. So that's what movers.size is. Right now, it'll evaluate to 0. If we added 5 movers in, it would automatically change to 5. Beautiful. I love it when programming is automated in a helpful way. So that means I don't have to worry about this stuff. Okay, so we're doing it. We're making the dream happen. Let's run it. Let's observe our beautiful sketch. Look, there's no movers. They're gone. They're gone, and it's sad. But this is the start, right? This is kind of like in any video game. You start. There's not like a bajillion bullets just sitting there ready to go. Like, you know, they're not created yet, and that's a cool thing. So let's go now and make it so that maybe when we click the mouse or something, yeah, let's make a mover every time we click the mouse. I think I'm going to just make a new constructor over here. And this is actually kind of cool. We're going to make more than one constructor. This is a true thing about any class. You can have as many constructors as you want. So I'm going to pluralize constructors. And the only thing that you have to be careful about is that you can't just make another one with no parameters. When you make a new constructor, it has to have different parameters, different types. And so it's not hard. We just have to make any parameter and it'll work. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a new mover. I didn't actually copy. We'll just steal this for now. We'll come back and see what we can do with it. I'll make a new mover constructor. And maybe what I'll do is I'll take in an X and a Y. So float X, float Y. And I'll paste it. I'll paste all this stuff in here. So it's cool. We can have 2 different constructors. And this information is going to come from the mouse at some point. Yes, that's right. And what I'll do is instead of choosing a random location, I'll just set the location to X and Y, whatever numbers I send to it. We'll still give it the same kind of random velocity. Okay? So that seems reasonable. What I would also say is this isn't the whole story. We have to sort of see where we're using this constructor. So we'll go back to the main tab and we will make a void mouse released function. So when we release the mouse, we will make a new mover and add it to the list. So we'll say movers, that's the name of our list, right? So we're going to add to our list a new mover. But we're not going to do it like that. We're not going to make a random. We could actually. Should we just see what that looks like first? Like our old constructor still works. Like it doesn't. We haven't broken it. By making a second constructor, we've just added another option for people to use. So let's just see what that looks like. So I'm going to run it. And when I click the mouse, I'm guessing a random mover will just appear. We don't know where or anything like that. But if I click them, like random ones will appear. And I can just keep clicking and adding more and more and more. So they have all the properties of other ones, but it doesn't really, work until I I add them in here. So that's fine. But what if I wanted it to go to the mouse? So that's where my second constructor is going to come in handy. So now I want to use this constructor to say, hey, go here. So if I give it mouse X and mouse Y, then my class knows, hey, the user's using this one. They're sending us numbers. So that it works. If I don't send it numbers, it uses this one. If I do send it numbers, it uses this one. It doesn't do both of them. It can only do one of them or the other. It can only ever use one constructor. And I can choose by whether or not I send it numbers. What do you think? Let's see. Let's run it. So now if I click on the screen, boop, it goes straight to where the mouse was. It's still like random speed and so on, but that's fine. So I can make a whole bunch come out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. This looks a little wild. It's kind of neat. I missed. But there you go. So that's an interesting example of having multiple constructors, and it's also an interesting example of having dynamic object creation. This wasn't really possible until we had ArrayLists to make this happen. So thanks ArrayLists for being so good. One other thing is we also would be happy to remove stuff from a list. So let's get that set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put things back to the way they were. So I'm going to get rid of this idea. I'm going to bring back our existing movers. Now we don't have number of movers anymore. So should I put that variable back? I guess so. Int number of movers equals 50. Let's just make sure that works. Yeah, so we started with a bunch of movers. So what I'd like to have happen is if I mouse over a mover, then I'll be able, and I click, then I'll be able to remove it. So we'll make a new function, a new behavior function, so it can detect deletion of itself. And I think that'll be pretty fun. So in order to make this work, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have my movers aware of whether they're alive or not. So I'm going to make a Boolean variable called alive. And regardless of what constructor we use, well, I got to remember not to press that key. I want that to be true when we start. Alive equals true. And alive equals true. Okay. And now what I'd like to do is maybe in the act function, we could check for deletion. Check for deletion. It's just a new function I'm going to throw in there. Void check for deletion. I can't spell. Help me. There we go. Maybe I can't type would be better. They're both true, let's be honest. Okay, so now we want to check for deletion. So we want to see if the mouse is overlapping with us. So what I can do is I can say, I can do our good old button stuff, right? A good old math for checking to see if our button is being clicked. So we can check the distance between our location .x, our location .y, and mouse x and mouse y, and see if that is less than the radius, so d divided by 2. So we'll see that. If that's true, well, we also want to check to see if the mouse is being clicked. So we can say also and mouse down. Oh, that's not the ampersand. There it is. And mouse down. Mouse down? Mouse pressed. Yeah. Okay, so if those things are true, then we want this thing to die. We want it to go away. So what I can say is alive equals false. Now, it's not that simple. Alive is just a variable I made. It's not like actually going to control whether they live or die. But we can use that kind of like almost as a flag to signal to our program to remove this little guy. So just to confirm, if I run this, like clicking doesn't actually remove anything right now. I am changing the values of these objects Boolean. It's true, and I can actually, we could demonstrate that just by choosing whether we draw a circle with a white or a black or a red or whatever we want to do. So just to demonstrate, we can see if alive, then I will fill, actually let's just keep this nice and simple. If alive is true, fill with this, else fill with red. I kind of don't like that. I'm getting picky, but okay, there we go. So basically I'll choose, do I draw with white or do I draw with red? So I'm pretty sure this works. Hey, look, it turned red. They're turning red. It's kind of a fun little game now. So that's fun. But like, I don't want to turn them red. I want them to die. So, you know, now that the variable is working, I can use the draw function loop to choose to destroy the ones that are alive. Now there's a bit of a problem here, and that's this I++, but we'll deal with it. So what I'm going to say is if m dot alive is false, in other words, if it's not alive, then I can remove it from the list. I can say movers dot remove I. Otherwise, I'll go to the next page. Go to the next mover. This is a bit of a long story as to why this is, so I'll elaborate this on this later because this video has gotten very long. Thanks for sticking around. But basically, if I remove an element, then the next one will snap forward, so I don't have to I++. If I remove element 5, the next one, which was 6, will become 5, and the one after that will become 6, and so on. So I don't actually have to increment I forward, but more on that later. So now I actually have a mechanism for removing our movers, and they can go, and see how they just like, poof, they're gone. They flash red because of my silly code, and eventually, like, you know, I can catch them all and get rid of them all, and that will be a way to go. Whoa, whoops, I cooked too much. So there you go, folks. This is dynamic object creation and removal in a system that uses p-vectors. We're crushing it. We're going places. This is really great. And our next project is going to definitely use ArrayLists and p-vectors, and we're going to have so much fun with all this kind of stuff. Thank you again. I'm going to close out this video with just a shout out to Pokemon cookies. These are delicious. They're amazing. I'm going to destroy a few. I'm going to remove them from my list as I sign out of this video. Look, they're little Pokeballs. These are just so good. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.